And welcome into another edition of the Collector's Desk. My name is Steve Johnston, the current toy expert on History's Pawn Stars and the producer of The Unrivaled Show and PokeCon Las Vegas, as well as other events. In the top right-hand corner, Mr. Brett Lawson, student of the game, a legend here in Las Vegas in the sports world. Go Live Vegas as well. You can find Brett. I'm confused.
Some legend.
There was some confusion that happened. I don't really know. Where are we?
Right.
But no, Brett Lawson joins us. Brett, how are you? Things good?
Great, brother, man. Still reveling in the victory of one of the greatest runs we've ever seen in the history of postseason sports, those New York Knickerbockers, and my New York Yankees basically backpacking the American League to an All-Star Game victory. Not that anyone cares. I mean, I don't even care because it's the All-Star Game. But if anyone's going to do it, it's the Yankees. But also, Steve, a White Sox. A White Sox. And that's the singular form of that. That's actually very weird. Yes. A player from the White Sox. Really, yeah, right. Really
singular of SOX is Sox and SOXEN, a White Sox.
There you go, the linguist here. So, anyways, but yeah, so Steve, as the basically de facto Chicago South Side fan this season, so you can kind of revel in that as well.
Well, absolutely. And, since you mentioned the correction, we'll go ahead and point out up at the top middle, Mr. Brendan Allen, from senior editor from comiccon.com, already doing
this baseball season is null and void at this point, though, because there was a false start and the Giants didn't realize that we had started the season yet, and they just started playing baseball. So we're going to have to go ahead and rewind that 3 months.
Do you notice that? Wait, hold on. That team's getting better at the trade deadline. Remember this. Right. There's a reason for that, because those dudes are trying to get out of Dodge.
No one can. All right, we get it. Eric, get the clarification, the lower third ready, because is it really a correction? Is it if he's answering an inquiry? Because I asked a question. Is he correcting me if I asked a question? And he very effectively and successfully answer the question, but is it really a correction if he's, because I'm not wrong, just saying. It's really, I
think we should have a lower third, Eric, now too, that Steve pivots, right?
Yes.
Because the bottom left-hand corner,
yes, we need that.
Paul
we need that more than anything.
Comedian extraordinaire, pitch man. Let me tell you what, if you got a product that needs pitch, this guy's already probably pitched it to at least 6 people.
Pitch man or oh.
And then in the bottom right-hand corner, Mr. Erik Amaya running the show, the editor-in-chief for comiccon.com. We are the Collector's Desk. Thank you guys for joining us. We checked in with Brett a little bit. We found out that he thinks that last week's news, and when I say that, that means multiple weeks back, news is important today. We'll go with that.
Oh no, that's the thing though. Knicks fans are gonna soak this up until it's like we forget about milking the cow. We're gonna beat the dead cow. So
it's funny. Look, Danhausen's still on the run with it, so he's still bringing it up, and
we got to get him on.
I'll tell you what though, just speaking of the cultural events and stuff like that and everything, it's funny because I don't think the World Cup had ever had interest to me. Mm-hmm. Right. I just never have been a soccer or a football fan. Right. But this World Cup, because the stars have played like stars, has been so much fun. And watching, I mean, I hated to see Holland lose the other day and all of this, but at the same time, very cool to see and all of that. But what I love about it is there's so many people coming out of the woodworks that are interested in this, and I'm seeing, it's funny because I get a lot of comic book creators, I get a lot of influencers from the trading card world and stuff like that, and I'm seeing content come across about the World Cup for these people, and I wanted to mention something really quick. This was not on our run of show, but this is something I wanted to bring up. I bring this up for a reason, and that is because the finals, right, are going to be in New York. Mm-hmm. At the exact same weekend that Fanatics Fest is happening in New York, which is also the exact same weekend that the Dallas Card Show is happening, which is the exact same weekend that West Coast Card Show is occurring. Mm-hmm. So you have 3 massive events. Look, Dallas Card Show runs on a regular basis, but their quarterly shows are massive for them. They're big. They were kind of the first big regular production on a regular basis. Fanatics Fest comes in basically rivaling the National, giving the National a run for their money, and they put their dates up in front. And then you have West Coast Card Show, who's arguably the largest on the West Coast. And I mean, arguably it's bigger than Dallas as far as the brand goes, right? And they're all competing against one another. And then on top of it, to add insult to injury, you have hotel rooms going $500, $600, $700, $800, $900 in New York on a week that Fanatics Fest is happening because of the World Cup.
And that's when you wish you had a buddy in Hoboken that you could go chill with, you know, or
Oh,
out,
for
even
Henny
out,
Lottery,
even out.
I'm
out
definitely
Long
getting a
Island.
studio downtown, just with a bed and a closet. That's it.
Right. But when you think about this, and like, you know, Eric, we've seen this forever, right? Where you have like shows happen and then people are like, oh, I can do that better, or I can do it different, or whatever. But when you have shows that are overlapping each other like this, and they're supposed to be massive productions, like what is that doing to the collector community?
It's putting them second is really what it's doing, first and foremost. I remember one year, San Diego, right around the time that the stadium opened, right? It may have been within a year of that. There was a Padres game and San Diego Comic-Con at the same time.
You're talking about Petco. So yeah, that's about 20, right. Just about 20 years ago.
About 20 years ago, but I remember that weekend because it was like back-to-back Padres games in the middle of Comic-Con, and it's like you could kind of tell where the city was deciding who mattered more.
Right.
And it was kind of rough because every subsequent year since it's been the convention, not baseball. But definitely if you have sports and collectors, sports are going to win. Like, and if you're a sports collector, then you're doing okay.
And you know what,
if you care about anything else, you're in trouble.
And you know what I find interesting, because I love that Eric brings that up, and it's also the law of proximity, right? It's why certain markets are just absolutely just perfectly laid out logistically, to really geographically, to really cater to certain audiences, whether it be the Super Bowl or whether it be a certain convention. And New York is one of those, especially given the fact you have a stadium right across the river that's easy to get to, and you could have everything in Midtown Manhattan if you wanted to, let alone in the outer boroughs for some ancillary stuff. What's interesting to me is that the ESPYs tonight, I believe for the first time in a long time, they may have pivoted a few years ago, I just forget, but forever they were in New York in LA, and all the various award show type of pavilions and theaters. And tonight they're in New York, and I wonder if somehow Michael Rubin kind of, elbowed someone in the ribs saying, hey, I have all these guys in town 5 days from now, 4 days from now for the show of shows, right? And that basically list is more stacked than the ESPYs are tonight in terms of the actual athletes who are going to be there. So it's just one of those fun things as a sports talk host you like to think about, like, did Michael Rubin swing the ESPYs and make sure they were East Coast, sort of law of proximity, those athletes that much easier and, smoothly can get to everywhere they need to be in New York for that weekend?
I would argue that the leagues are paying attention to this because, as you guys may or may not know, there is no Pro Bowl this year. The Pro Bowl activations are the week of the Super Bowl. At the Super Bowl location, which makes sense because now all of your superstars that are supposed to be Pro Bowl attendees will now be in your Super Bowl city during the biggest media week of the year, right? So I look at this though, and I'm just, from a show production standpoint, and look, this is one of the things we really should be discussing is the impact on collectors and how things will actually affect collectors in a way. And I feel like this is such a disservice to collectors. Eric, I think your take was spot on in my opinion, that, you have, when it's one thing to have multiple things happening because look, there's only 52 weeks in a year, right? But it's another thing that when, you have a show like Dallas that has all these multiple dates, like I just have a hard time believing that Dallas is going to pull the numbers that Dallas normally pulls. Because the other thing that happens a lot of times in this world, especially from the world of repackers, right? People that buy to do mystery packs, those guys travel multiple show circuits all the time. So like they'll fly in, say you live in Chicago, you would fly to Dallas, do day one of Dallas, and then fly to LA and go to day 2 or day 3 of the West Coast Card Show. Now it's like you might do that, but now you're picking and choosing which one of those you're going to go to. Whereas like in the past, you would be able to hit both generally, right? For an example, myself, we're actually involved with a show in Vegas, which is SneakerCon, right? And we're involved with that. It's a Saturday only event. Then Sunday I'll be in LA for West Coast Card Show on Sunday. Like these are, these things happen often, but what's weird about it is when you got like big events that just all are standing there and no one is moving their dates because they're all just like, well, doesn't matter. I'm so-and-so. Like, I think that does a huge disservice to the collector industry. And, Paul,
you're talking about a New York market though, right?
Yeah, but we're not just talking about New York. I mean, you're talking, sure, you've got the New York market, but then you've got
because what I see,
on the West Coast, and
from
you've
a convention standpoint
in Dallas or Dallas card shows. So like they're spread out across the country. Your best vendors are spread out across the country. Like these things are not easy to navigate, and this is tough to do. And Paul, I guess what I was going to get to is you've seen Vegas for years, and you've watched the casinos and the showrooms, right, fighting for different talent and getting different things in. And what you started to notice, at least me, and correct me if I'm wrong, was how people were like timing their shows in Vegas, right?
Yeah. But you're right. Like the big boys or whatever are like, why should I have to change? I've been doing it the longest, or I've been here. My show's more important than yours, and they don't want to change. But yeah, it is interesting to see, vying for them. I mean, it's great for the local economy, but it's tough to then split up the fans that are there, or But for some people, I think coming into Vegas, you're kind of like, well, if I go that weekend, I can hit 2 or 3 different events that are going on. So I don't know. The scales
in a market, it kind of makes sense, right? We put a show together during WrestleMania that also had WrestleCon, right? And we made sure that our hours overlapped later than what theirs were. We were being supportive to the community, not necessarily combative to it, right? I don't know. You see these events like this, you see stuff like this happen, and then the impact that it puts on collectors, you never know. Guys, when we come back after this break, Paul, Brendan are going to be leading the charge as they're going to be talking to the team from Bad Gramm-mar. Anyways, this is the Collector's Desk. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to which podcast are we doing? Oh, yeah, the Collector's Desk. I'm involved in so many podcasts that I don't even know which one I'm on. Is it Paul Vato Presents? Is it the Collector's Desk? Shout out to my own podcast. And today we have some of the creators and actors of the hit show on YouTube called Bad Gramm-mar. And I did also want to go with, some of the spelling choices, because the stylization of Bad Gramm-mar. At first, I thought it was about bad cocaine deals. Like, oh, I got a bad gram. So I was excited. I wanted to do it. And then all of a sudden I find out it's about the comic books. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the podcast I do. So welcome. Welcome to the podcast. And today we have Matthew and Raquel. And if you guys would maybe just like to introduce yourselves, and let us know kind of who you are, and then a little bit about Bad Gramm-mar, the series, which is very exciting. I've been watching it, so I'm very vested in it. So please, Matthew, if you want to introduce yourself and your show.
Yeah, I'm Matthew Medney. I'm the creator of the show and also publisher of Gramm-mar Books, where we make a number of really fun graphic novels, everything from Deadweight with the comedian Bobby Lee to the upcoming book, The Ark with Tim Disney, and just announced a number of graphic novels with Die Hard and Commando writer Steven D'Souza.
Amazing. And say again, how do you pronounce the name of your company, your publishing company?
It's Gungnir. It's the staff of Odin. In Norse mythology, they say it's a weapon of war, as how we know it from Marvel's MCU. But in the actual pagan myths, it's more a weapon to create the will of Odin. And Odin is not just the god of war; he's also the god of poetry. So when he uses Gungnir, he never misses his mark with his words.
Amazing. And again, this isn't for me because unlike some of our idiot listeners, I already know all that. So thank you, Matthew, for clarifying it for them. But thank you. I had no idea. Okay, so thank you. And then Raquel, and now are you also, I know that in the show they call you Rocky. Is this also a real life thing? But if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your acting background, because I have a feeling that you are a real actor. And tell us a little bit about your character on the show and how maybe you got involved with it.
Amazing. Well, yeah, thanks for having us. Rocky is actually a nickname that a lot of my friends call me. So it's like very much a term of endearment, but I like that it kind of separates, there is still a character there, not my actual name. Just to kind of differentiate, because I'm playing an actor on the show as well. But it's a very, embellished, heightened version of what I'm interpreting an actor to be. Not even like I would say of how I am, but it's really funny. Like just the character's ridiculous. But I got involved. I mean, Matt and I have been collaborating I've known Matt, I think almost 10 years now at this point.
Yeah, totally.
And we've worked together on various projects, but this has been like definitely the biggest thing that we've done so far. And he wrote a character for me, and it's been so much fun to play. And what else did you ask? Oh, and my background, I do a lot of I'm most recent credit is I'm on in a feature called This Time on Apple TV. But I mainly have done commercial stuff. I've, also did Groundlings and UCB and all of that. So improv as well. And I love doing like sketches and stuff like that too. But it just still in my humble beginnings here. But what else did you say? I'm saying so much, and I'm aware that I'm saying so we're gonna push past it. What was the 7th question you asked?
I too seem to forget
number 7 there.
All the
You know what I
questions
like is that's
that
a
I
very
asked.
always sunny in Philadelphia answer. It's like, my real name is Raquel, but I go by Rocky, and it's just an amped up version of my character, because Rob McElhaney does the same thing with Mac, and Charlie Day is Charlie, and it's the same thing where it's like,
No, it's very like that.
They are their characters, but just kind of cranked up on like meth or something.
And also, kind of to bring this back full circle, I mean, also my name is Rocky. I'm also from Philly. So that has always been like a double thing why I like going by Rocky, but also, Always Sunny. I mean, bringing it back to Philadelphia, as you can see, my background in improv. Just
amazing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Leading you right into the next question.
Yeah, Matthew, great job, I think, on casting, or if you were involved in the casting process and bringing these people together, because there are such unique characters, but they're all very, believable and likable and unlikable, which I think is a sign of
you found them likable when you were watching.
I'm an actor, so I found them very likable, because I'm like, I can relate to this person. Of course, she's talking about me. What else do we as actors do? Which reminds me, if you guys would like to get in touch with me, I'm at Paul Vato Presents. Paul Vato. So that's our life, I think, as actors. Because hey, if we're not going to promote ourselves, who is, type of a thing. And
Totally.
Matthew, also have an improv background, because I see that the
Absolutely
show,
not.
Really.
Absolutely not. No, my background is all in the music business, as well as writing science fiction fantasy books. My character that I play is as well a version of myself, where I am unsure if I am from this planet in real life, and I think I just exude that in what I play. But what's been really fun about these characters and building the show is we created a construct, character profiles for Raquel and Jordan and Rama, Donna, Julia, and then we gave them all the bits they needed to know about the books. But then from there, we just sort of rolled the cameras and said, go and let's see what we get. And we would film for every 30 minutes, we find a 15 to 18 minute episode out of it. And the interview section was sort of the idea of like really trying to make it feel like The Office meets a book club. And what I think is most fun is I don't think any of them have seen each other's interviews until the episodes, and I think that creates just a really, really funny a moment for all for Rocky and everyone to watch when the episodes come out.
That's amazing. Now, how much is scripted versus improvised? And then I know, like like The Office. You mentioned The Office was mentioned. Now I know The Office felt improvised, but it was indeed very heavily scripted. Versus like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which Larry would give you the beginning and the end, and then how you get there was the brilliance of the improvisers and the actors. What is your process, or what do you guys do? And neither one of you can take that question as to how much is improvised and how much is scripted, and what's the process like?
It's a lot. It's a lot improvised. We create sort of the lead-ins and the moats of what we would like to get out of the characters, but kind of like Curb, how they get there and what roads they take and which directions they go is completely they're doing.
Amazing.
And also keep in mind, I think there's an extra layer to the fact that this is a book club, so we have to be doing a book an episode, and sometimes if like depending on like we have to change out a book last minute or whatever, like we don't always have necessarily the time to read all the books before a shoot, right? So it's like we have to he'll give us like cliff notes or that kind of situation where
I do read all the books though, and then give the cliff notes.
Yeah,
Somebody has to. Somebody has to make the prompts, right?
Yes,
Of course.
exactly.
Yeah. No, and
Because
we eventually do. We get to, and what I love is Matt actually gives us a copy of every single book, and so no, we all like. I mean, no, and I've read, but I just mean that like in terms of the nature of the show, in order to like actually like have you can't really fake, like you have to be able to like you have to really know the sort of ins and outs of things in order to have the improv that we do. So I think a large part of the writing that comes from Matt too will be just like about the books itself, but then and then we'll have like ideas of like what a character can do with sort of like their angle, so he'll give us like a perspective to have on each thing, and then it'll be like the marrying of the information that we have on the books and like a perspective that to follow, and then that'll be like the lead in to like the improv that happens. And I think that's but I think it also is a testament to how amazing everyone has been with like how much I think that like it's a lot to do, and I think that like the specificity that everyone has brought to like their characters, like I mean Jordan, Rama, and these are like, and Julia, who I was at Groundlings with, and that's how she was actually even brought in on the project. But basically, just like I watching back and seeing their, what Matt said was we never got to see each other's interviews, and seeing it was like really cool to see like what they did with their characters, because it truly was, I think. The first episode was like, let's just see what happens, and it really ended up being like everyone just like brought it, and it was really cool to see. But so yeah, a lot of improv like on the actual stuff, but like I mean there's structure in that way.
And also just build on that, some of the real brilliance is from my better half, Bella's, her directing and vision of cutting the show, and then Chris, our cinematographer, and Michael, our editor, really find the stories that we're not even thinking about when we're filming in the footage, which has just been amazing. I mean, our rig is 5 iPhone 13 Pros set up using the Blackmagic camera app, some amazing color grading after, and just some really great filmmaking and camera tricks to make it feel like it could live on a Netflix, but done with an amazingly tight budget and just like the love of filmmaking, which is what I find also just a lot of fun about the show.
That's amazing. Are the episodes that we've seen, because how many episodes are there right now on YouTube, and where can people go to find it, whether your website or YouTube?
Yeah.
So the episodes that have been shot, were those kind of shot in the order that we're watching them? Because like your first one was Deadweight, the comic book by Bobby Lee, which I've known Bobby since the Mad TV days, maybe going on 20 years now, and I didn't even realize that he'd written a comic book. So that's how good of friends I guess we are. But thank you for letting me know about that. And yeah, what? So are those kind of in the order of the actual books that you brought to the book club? And I do love like the bit that you did address where someone didn't really read it. Like, oh, you didn't really read it. No, I didn't. So I don't know if that was a real thing or if that was just a bit. But yeah, can you tell us also, especially where we can?
It's definitely a choice. Like that was my character. Like Matt wrote that. Like that I didn't read it. So you know what I mean. And I actually have. And ironically, I actually have read Deadweight.
Yeah, no, I think there's a couple of them that you say you haven't read that you actually read. I think you read Fourth Wing too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which I think. I mean, that's a great recurring bit. Like I don't even know.
It is quite. No, some of the recurring bits that Rocky does, especially in episode 5 and 6, are kind of ridiculously hilarious. But you can, the YouTube channel is at Bad Grammar, DDMM, and the seasons, the way that we think of it, every 4 episodes we film in a different location. So the first 4 episodes are at Golden Apple Comics. And then the next 4 episodes are at another book loft, an apartment that we got, which we thought was really cool. And then the next ones after that are at Lore Bookstore in Lore Lament Park, which is really great. And then we'll be filming at the Last Bookstore in Studio City. So we're really trying to film every quad of episodes at a different cool book-ish type place here in LA and try to, imagine new surroundings for each of the 4 stories. We pick 4 books to film in a day, so we film basically once a month and do a 4 book shoot, and then edit it like that. But it's always a Gungner book, and then it's a book from the Zeitgeist.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh boy.
It's a Gungner book and then a book from the Zeitgeist. Next up is going to be Paul Vato's book about hedgehogs and cookies.
That was my next question, because I am also developing my own comic book, but is it by design? I noticed, at least in the first 4 episodes, I didn't notice any Latino actors on your project. So I was wondering if there might be room.
Angling for a job now.
Paul, I am Latina. I'm Puerto Rican.
Oh, she just edged you right out.
You don't have to lie to me, Raquel.
Wait. And she's a woman, so she checks off 2 boxes, whereas you only check off 1, sir. So you have been edged out of any consideration.
And I would have to also, unfortunately, let you know that I am part Brazilian. I'm a dual citizen of Brazil and the U.S. So we got that male side covered too.
I was talking more specific Chicano or Mexican.
No, perfect.
They're not
Honestly,
taking applications at this time, sir.
Brendan, this has nothing to do with you.
You know it doesn't, but it's hilarious to watch. I'm having a great time watching you get eviscerated here. As you're putting yourself out there, just getting kicked right in the balls. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, make sure you pick up a copy of my book, The Kama Sucia. Guys, thank you so much. But just a few seconds of your last thoughts, and also where people can find you personally besides your project, if you'd like to give us about that. Oh, and then a shout out to Donna, who I thought one of the funniest lines is when she's arguing about mothers, and she goes, "Oh, is your mother Jewish?" I mean, there were several other ones, but I just shout out to that.
She steals the show. Fun fact: that is my mother-in-law.
That's great.
Really?
Yeah.
She's great. I mean, you guys are all great.
So that's how you get on the show, Paul. You have to marry into the family. So good luck with that.
Do you have any single brothers or sisters?
She's a full, Donna's a full-on legend.
Is she an actor or
a retired producer, creative exec who just is hilarious, and we were like, we think you'd be great on this, and exceeded expectations for sure.
Yeah, she's a great part of the team. Okay, so as our time unfortunately ends here, but I'd love to invite you both onto my podcast so we can spend maybe an hour chatting about this. And if I'm in LA, next time I'm in LA, I'd love to connect with you guys and maybe have a cup of coffee.
He just wants free lunch.
That sounds great. I'm always down for free lunch.
You can be on the show, Paul. You can be on the show.
Gandules, maybe Puerto Rican food, mofongo, which sounds like
you had me with chicken, rice, and beans. Any amalgamation of those, I'm in.
Yeah.
Fijao, or however you say that. Fijao. Okay.
Fijao, yeah.
Fijao. Well, obrigado for being here. Y gracias for being here. But please, just quickly let us know where people can find you personally if they want to connect with you on your social media.
I'll do it, and then you can close it out. You can find me at Raquel Woodruff. And English. I'm half Puerto Rican. I'm half Puerto Rican. My dad is Irish English descent. But anyway, at Raquel Woodruff on Instagram and TikTok or whatever. And then I want to be clear, you can look up Bad Grammar spelled correctly on YouTube, and it will take you to the page.
Eventually.
Yes, Matt.
It took me a minute to find it, even knowing how it was spelled. Just saying.
Matt's brilliant strategy was, let's make it almost impossible to find, and that way, when we were successful, it'll show that we were successful despite that. And
it's
it
Fight
really
Club,
is
baby.
working.
The first version of this podcast, like 3 versions ago, was called "Who the Fuck is Frank," but it was Grawlix instead of "fuck," and so that hashtag in there made it come all kinds of crazy for SEO. So we had to change it.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
Well, I'm glad that you guys are very successful in spite of yourselves. So Matthew, if you can,
that is the ethos of the show for sure. But in addition, you can find me at Matthew Medney on Instagram. At Gungnir, Gungnir books across all socials, and then at Bad Grammar on YouTube.
Amazing.
I love that, like, his connection just went pure chaos when he was trying to give information. That's Gungnir, Gugnir.
Gun.
Yeah, of course.
Odin's Gungnir.
Odin's spear, you dummy. Everyone knows that.
All right. But it's a spear of education, though, not for war. Apparently.
Right, of course. Yes, of course. And another brilliant Brazilian last name that we have there. Okay, guys, thank you so much for playing along and for being here and for doing the Collector's Desk. So thank you, guys, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the episodes as soon as they drop.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate being here.
Thank you for having us, guys.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Well, welcome back to the Collector's Desk, and I'm here with Brett Lawson and Erik Amaya. Guys, first off, how much fun is Bad Grammar? What a great show. I think, look, they're onto some magic there. I think it's kind of fun, and the fact that it's like kind of scripted, kind of not, that whole combination for some reason to me always seems to create like some comedic magic, and it's something they're putting together special there. So that was pretty cool to have them on. Really neat to see. You know, something else neat to see. I don't know if you saw this or not, Brett, but Jacob Mizorowski, which if you're not familiar with who he is, he's an absolute physical freak in baseball. He's doing all kinds of record setting. He's a pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he just had a pitching outing that he went that the first inning, right?
He
broke the record.
Yep.
For pitches 102 miles an hour and up in a game, and he did it in an inning. Like,
and
it's
what's
crazy.
The highest? And go ahead and tell the audience what's the highest he's clocked it at.
I think he's at 105.6.
3 ticks higher.
Like
Yep, exactly. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. And it's at a year when the Cy Young race in the National League is absolutely stacked. So that's going to be an absolute blast to watch. We didn't really see him yesterday get much or any action at all. We knew that was going to be the case. Yeah. Just like my boy Cam Schlittler, you knew it's the way the All-Star game is. The best guys, a lot of times, at least on the pitching side, they're going to back out, even though they're going to kind of be there for appearances sometime. But it's all for fun. I mean, we were talking
about too when they appear when they pitch last, because they're not, teams don't change the rotation to do that. But you know what I loved about him is that he's so electric, he's so fun, and then he absolutely is invested into the collector space. So most people don't know this. He's one of the Pokemon collecting players in Major League Baseball, and he did a collab where he had a exclusive glove made for the All-Star game that is a Charizard-themed glove with a Charizard in the actual webbing.
Yep.
Like, how cool is this, right? And then it's got the Mizorowski there on the side.
It's
as you
awesome.
can see.
In the
Like,
font. Yeah.
So cool. I love that they reversed his numbers. That 44, that's going to be used. That will be a promo. I promise you.
Yep.
There will be a promo for the Brewers that will have a 44 jersey night, but the 44s will be backwards like that.
And that's what I was kind of going to bring up, like in a second here, as we kind of pivot to what we need to get down to, because we have a lot of fun stuff as it relates to the hobby.
Yeah.
But exactly what you said, it's so cool because it's an opportunity for a viral moment to get a lot of social media traction with the fan base. It then becomes something you could use moving forward promotionally. And honestly, it just kind of shows how many athletes are not only just embracing the hobby, like we saw Bobby Witt last night with the kids running under the fireworks, riding their bikes. He's taking the card out, signing it for the kid. Mike Trout's, critiquing or like just giving the kid some pointers on his swing. They're out there, Alvarez is chilling just with the kid, just giving him high fives and casual conversation. It's honestly one of the cooler things you see in an all-star game, which honestly competitively isn't that engaging. But what I like is the fact that throughout the week, festivities because of social media like this and not even marketing schemes or marketing tools, but marketing opportunities really arise out of this that show, Steve, kind of much like what we're covering today, how athletes are fully diving in head over heels with the hobby. We're going to see it at Fanatics Fest, right, with the lineup they have there. And we're just going to see it at various things. Brendan and I talked about it last week on the show, that incredible lineup they have out there, which seems like it's like literally sports heaven, right? So it's cool how some of these brands just go absolutely all in.
Well, and it's cool to see people get involved, the brands get involved, and then there be those collaborative crossovers. And then when you look around the excitement that these guys have for the hobby space, right, which is really cool. I mean, we were lucky enough. We had a couple of the Vegas Golden Knights come to one of our shows and just casually walk the floor with their case, collecting and buying cards. Like, when you have those type things, we've had rappers, we've had, when you have this involved in the collector space, I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah. And, you start thinking about fun, you start thinking about manias. And the one I can't not think about is Fernando Mania, right? Think about forever, the Dodgers, Fernando, like all of that. Well, now we have the second coming of Fernando Mania. The Raiders have billboards in Las Vegas that just say Fernando in silver and black. That's it. Right. No logos, no nothing, just Fernando, right?
For a quarterback who's not even going to be the week one, day one starter, too. Right. That's what's so crazy. He'll be the starter soon enough, all respect to Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is there for a reason to make that transition very smooth. But it just goes to show that when you can embrace the right person at the right time, the floodgates are going to open, Steve.
Well, the thing is, look, Mexican-American, he's
Cuban.
Cuban American,
sorry. But
Hispanic heritage,
Latin American,
Latin heritage, right?
Yeah, strong.
Like I like that we're getting specific this week too, because we had Brazil and Portuguese last segment, so now it's Cuba too. Right. So.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that when you look at it, like, obviously that hits a certain type of the fan base, but then he's also a worker. Right. So far his circle has talked about. The reason we bring this up is because Fernando is a featured athlete on the new Topps Flagship 2026 Topps NFL football coming out. Now, if you're not familiar with Flagship, essentially what Topps has is it's their paper-based product that they put out that kicks off the calendar year for a Topps product. So in baseball, they have Flagship. They do an update. NFL, this is the first time that Topps is coming back with the actual NFL license, which means they can use the NFL logos and the team logos and everything. And they now have the licensing for it. And this 2026 product, this is going to be the first one off the line that's going to offer the Fernando Mendoza rookies. He also signs in the product. He does have autographs in here, which is massive because we've gone like 3 years where we don't have players signing in product because Fanatics owned the license. They have Topps. It was owned by Panini. Panini did put the product out. Player couldn't sign in the product. There was like 3 years of mess from 2023 to 2025 product. It's all over the place. But now you're getting to the point that all of these autographs are going to be available. And as you see here right now, there's a 1-of-1 Topps now. This was basically a card that during the draft, NFL not just NFL, but Topps does Topps Now, which is this living set they've created where they make in the moment cards. You have so much time to claim them. They make so much product based to it. They put 1-of-1s, numbered cards, autographs, all kinds of stuff in there. And this particular card is obviously a big deal for him. But this card, in comparison to what the 1-of-1s will be in the flagship, not even close. The 1-of-1 in the flagships for him are going to go for, multiple thousands of dollars. And when I'm talking about multiple, I'm talking into the probably $30,000-$40,000 range for a 1-of-1 of him out of this product. It's going to be his first 1-of-1 autos, like you're seeing here, this first NFL auto. This will always have a high value to it, this particular card. But what's cool about it is this product is getting ready to launch. It is creating the hype. The NFL is king, and this is scheduled to hit stores Friday, August 21st. And this basically, this is the first time that Topps has really had a chance to do this since back, I think it was 2007, 2009, something like that, that they were able to, kind of do this and have the license. So it's been a while since they've had the actual license. And Topps product is always super, super exciting. People love it. And this kickoff product is really big because this is your first times that you're getting your first looks of the rookies in their NFL jerseys, getting a chance to see them. There is a relic or an autograph per box. That's pretty standard for Topps, right? For a hobby. And then they'll most likely have the jumbos, and jumbos usually come with 3 autos in the product. And then some of the products that Topps will come out with, they probably won't do it for Topps flagship, but they'll do it for others. They do a product called Breaker's Delight, where that product is really just the hits. That's all it is. Which is really cool. But you do have a short print inserts that are called Touchdown. There's another one called Struttin' and Billboard Material. So these are going to be new chase inserts that are going to be, short printed. They might be case hits, might be one per case. Some might be multiple, over multi cases or whatever it is. But Mendoza is definitely the big chase in this product. There actually is a good rookie class for this product. Because it's not just this. There's actually 3 or 4 quarterbacks. There's 6 or 7 wide receivers that have upside from this year's draft. But seeing this come now that we know the NFL license is now owned by Topps, and Topps is coming back with their first NFL product. We just had them come back with their first NBA product. You now have Topps has Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, the UFC, and WWE, right? So they have cornered all the major sports franchise stuff. And the only thing they don't have is the NHL, and that's because Upper Deck has been able to hold that for years.
And Topps is my introduction to sports cards. My first set at my birth year in 1993 that I still own. It actually may be amongst the bodies here somewhere. We're all Topps. And I've had Upper Deck as well over the years, because Upper Deck, like you said, has been absolutely mammoth of the industry, and it's iconic, just the name. But Topps, as far as baseball cards, was my introduction to anything sports card related, and anything else that has come about since then has often been Topps, assuming Topps has the right to the accessibility for it.
Well, and for a lot of people, because maybe people don't necessarily know, there are multiple companies that produce sports cards, produce trading cards, there's a variety, right? But in the sports card world, for a long time, you had Don Russ, you had Leaf, you had Fleer, you had Upper Deck, you had Topps. Panini came along. You ended up with there's a smaller group out there called Wild Card, right? And you had companies that have and this has been pretty traditional for the trading card space for quite some years. You actually have where a lot of these companies have absorbed each other, right? So Panini has actually over the years absorbed Don Russ. They've absorbed Leaf. They've absorbed, some of these other companies.
And that answers Brendan's question, who actually is in the chat right now, because that's important. Because in many ways, as a wrestling fan, Brendan is as well. Steve, you are. I'm also a fight fan. We've seen Vince McMahon do it. We've seen Dana White do it. We've seen, Mickey Mouse do it. This is what happens. The leaders in the industry absorb their competition, and you could say they monopolize it. Fine. You could say there's certain things that are unfair, but at the same time, the system allows it. they do it, and it makes for their product to be that much better and appealing.
Well, and for years, Panini's had the NFL license. Panini also had the NBA license.
Yeah.
Topps has had the baseball license forever. But
yeah,
you
that's
have
how
this
that's
out, and when you see stuff like this, Eric, and you think about it from the manufacturer standpoint, that like they're acquiring these major licenses, and now those licenses are held in their barn and everything. What do you think is going to happen to a company like Panini that now everything is all of a sudden unlicensed for them? And they had some of the biggest product in the game, and now it's going to be an afterthought.
Pray then get some different collector's card thing going. I mean, going back to like the 90s, there were like Star Trek cards and DC cards and Marvel cards, and that was the stuff I kind of got into. I guess
you do have some of that
secondary market that isn't sports.
And
you do have some of that now, though, because Topps has a Marvel license.
Yeah,
Topps did X-Men '97, which was super successful. That card set. They have the Disney license. They have Labubu. They've done these, and you're talking. They have, and the one thing that Fanatics has done, and look, let's give a lot of credit where credit is due to Fanatics and Michael Rubin and what they've done. Michael Rubin was really smart, because what he did is he started buying up the autograph rights.
Yeah,
and once he started doing that,
consolidate.
What he did is
consolidate. Yep.
Right, he's holding, and those deals are all for. It's all sports signatures, so they're getting them for jerseys and hats and helmets and whatever, plus the trading cards and whatever else memorabilia wise. Look, this was a Upper Deck thing. Upper Deck did this. In fact, Michael Jordan just became the first legacy partner of Upper Deck, where he re-signed a contract that is keeping him locked for autographs with Upper Deck for life. And because of that, they gave him a piece of the company.
And I want to ask about that, because Steve, this is something I've actually wanted to bring up on the show for a while, and it just kind of seems timely now, because I have some buddies in the space who have also entered, because I've talked about the growing media side of it, how now in the sports, broadcasting world and the streaming side, they are looking for content creators solely for breaks, solely for hosting live streams regarding that type of content. And now I have a lot of friends who are even trying to enter that space, and some are successful somewhat, some are just, it's a dud because they don't have, the set of tools for it in a variety of ways. But the few that have kind of stuck around and keep at it, they out of the blue, and I may have mentioned this on a show where you weren't here, they out of the blue started on their shows on Instagram, whatever, TikTok, covering breaks featuring Marvel and Star Wars cards. And you mentioned that Topps is getting these, these licensed. And as Eric mentioned, the secondary market somehow kind of just floats around, kind of hangs around under the radar. And every now and then, if it's timely enough and relevant enough, it'll circle back, and that secondary market will have their moment in the sun once again. Are we seeing that with Marvel and DC and Star Wars cards? Because it seemed like to really pop up out of the blue at a time when public appeal for superhero media is at like an all-time low compared to what it's been in the last 15, 20 years, as we talked about. So what's the deal on that, Steve?
Star Wars is starting to scale again. Right. Marvel is definitely staying steady. Marvel's never massive in the card world, but it's never really low. Right.
Gotcha.
Your superheroes are always big. It's all about the autograph play. Right. And I'll bring that up for Disney. Right. Because, you have Lorcana that's actually owned by Ravensburger. That's a card game. Right. Well, the trading card product that Topps does has the autographs in it. Well, the one of one Mickey Mouse autos, those are going for $30,000-$40,000.
Yeah.
So they're a relevant collectible. They're definitely a value play, and the numbered cards in that stuff have value. Just like the Labubu cards, right? A lot of it's not crazy valuable, but the autographs and the numbered cards, 50 and under, are super liquid, super valuable, and very collectible. They've got something special. Well, I'll tell you really quick, guys. NFL flagship product. Don't miss it. There's always big bangers, and there's good money up front. If you rip it early, you hit some bigger cards early. If you get them in the marketplace first, especially when you're talking about the Fernando Mendoza autos and stuff like that, you're going to get a premium for that stuff before the guy's ever even done anything. Right. It is an opportunity to do that. I would highly suggest, if you have the ability, go down August 21st, see your local LCS, pick up some boxes, rip some product. There will be retail product as well. You will have hangers, you will have blaster boxes and megas as well in this product. The retail product is always never quite as a valuable play as the hobby product is, because the hobby boxes have the guaranteed hits, guaranteed autos, certain things, whatever it is. But make sure you guys go down, grab that stuff. I think you're going to really find that this flagship product with these rookies in it and the first 2026 product coming off the line, this is going to be a big release and it's going to hold around for a while. But I would say grab it sooner than later, because this product is going to increase in value before it goes down. So that would be my advice to guys. Again, make sure you guys go out and do that. And then just as a note that I saw that was in the production notes that I thought was cool, apparently Fernando Mendoza, he owns the 1-of-1 Chrome Superfactor of himself from Bowman University when he was at Indiana. And it's cool because it's also a really neat thing that you see in the trading card world, and it really started in baseball, and now you're starting to see it, where guys are actually hunting their 1-of-1s. And so we're seeing people on a regular basis posting messages and saying, hey, I had such and such rookies 1-of-1, and his mom reached out to me and said, oh, I'm collecting these. Or the player himself reached out and said, hey, can we do a deal to acquire that card or whatever it is. It's kind of fun to see these players knowing that they're signing this 1-of-1 that's going in a product and then looking for that card that they actually did and getting involved in the space. I think it's a lot of fun. So guys, don't miss it. Topps Flagship NFL. Look, 2026 NFL season, the rookies are here. This is a massive product. It's going to be huge for the sport. And I'm going to make one bold statement, which is, and you can quote this, make notes, Eric, 18 months from now, I believe we will be talking about sports cards being the biggest thing in collectibles again. And it will be over the top of Pokemon and these other products. And I'll tell you why.
Sports strikes
real quick
back. I love it.
The reason being is because fanatics with the autographs and how they can curate this product, how they can limit certain releases and all of these things and create these experiences and ever, they're going to start pulling out the casual consumers looking for that next thing. Well, this product right here is a really good example. You can hit quarterback 3, 4, and 5 out of this product, hit cards numbered under 50 and more, and you're going to have $1,000 cards. So it's going to be pretty easy to make money in this product if you absolutely get engaged early on, get involved early on, rip early, hit stuff early, list early. That's the best advice I can give you.
This is Revenge of the Jocks. We've seen.
I know. I love it. That's what we should call it. Revenge of the Jocks. So
I love it.
We'll go for that. Well, speaking of revenge, Paul Vato had quite a segment earlier, and I'm sure he's got a whole lot to say about it and more. We'll be back to wrap up the collector's desk here in just a moment.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Well, we're back at the collector's desk, and of course, everybody on the panel joins us. So Brendan's back, as well as Paul Vato. The nice thing is we do have Vato's mic muted, and that's great because after seeing him with the bad grammar people, I can only imagine what he has to say. But guys, we've got some things. Look, this is con season. I think it's especially in the comic world, it's always looked upon this way that the Super Bowl is about to occur, right? And the Super Bowl is San Diego Comic-Con. That is the industry standard, and then you have shows that fall behind it. Look, New York Comic-Con's not far behind.
New York Comic-Con has a bigger gate than San Diego. Just saying.
It can have a bigger gate, but it doesn't have a bigger impression on the
public eye,
the community.
You know what? I don't know if you guys have heard this before or not, or if it's ever come up in conversation, but I really hate San Diego Comic-Con.
We talked. Didn't we have the whole opening segment last week of the show about that? I'm pretty sure that time was dedicated to you and Aaron, or you and Eric going back and forth about it.
The San Diego Comic-Con. I grew up in San Diego. I love San Diego, and I love every opportunity. Do you know that I do not try to get myself to Comic-Con? And the reason I don't is because the logistics of everything is so hard.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's not look, if you want to stay affordable, you got to stay in North County, right? If you're going to take the trolley in, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours. Right. Like, you can go down the list of all these things. If you want to stay close, you're going to pay an just obscene amount of money. The collectibles that are sold as exclusives are no longer as giant impact pieces as they once were. They used to be. I mean, Eric, I know you saw it. The heydays of the early Funko drops, the early Funko fun days. The Lego pieces, all of those that were just like off. I mean, if you could get the Lego, if you could get in the lottery and you could get the Lego and you had the, whatever Lego figure it was, the Superman or, whatever character they released, like you turn around, it was $1,000.
Yeah.
Help pay for your trip.
Even down to like HeroClix exclusives. Yeah. Like HeroClix of all things. Like
I remember one year going nuts went nuts with NECA because NECA had a Ninja Turtle set release that they did. And dude, we were picking up, 2 to 3 of them a day if we could and turning around and selling them for 3 to 5x what we were paying for them. Yeah. People look at that as like, oh, well, you're exposing the hobby side of this a little bit, and then you're just, scalping and flipping stuff. Look, if you're going to attend an event like that, I don't think people realize how expensive it is, how that can be and what it is. But, it definitely, it's a big deal. We get a lot of information about it. And I think, Eric, didn't they make an announcement about Marvel's panel at Comic-Con?
Yeah. This is something we kind of discussed last week too. It's that basically Marvel Studios skips every other year.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a Marvel Studios year, which means the entire convention just kind of revolves around that to an extent. Certainly from a reporter standpoint, it's like the thing you're waiting for is whatever the Marvel Studios headline is. 2 years ago, it was Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Yep. This year, it's a giant question mark because we really don't know what they're going to do. Like, is it just going to be the Doomsday trailer? Is it just going to be a bunch of the cast? There's 60 people in the movie. Can they get like 10 to show up and
that's
tease what they're doing, right?
Because
or will we get to the point where what usually happens or what used to happen is that Kevin Feige would then get up and show you a calendar, right, for the next 4 or 5 movies, right? He'll give you the timeline, right?
Yeah.
We spent the last decade making fun of the timeline.
We miss it.
Will he do that, do you think? Do you think he will get up there and like, okay, this is what it's going to look like after Secret Wars?
That's my thing. And that's so funny because, Eric, that was my question for you because all we know from the rumors, the speculation from the insiders is that it's not even necessarily a trailer guaranteed. A trailer is the most likely if you were to take it to like a betting market like Kalshi or something. I don't know. It probably is the trailer. But all that we know is that it's going to be, and anyone knows this at this point, it's a showcase for Doomsday. So I'm wondering if he's trying to keep Secret Wars because of that as much under wraps as possible to focus on Doomsday as essentially the 2-year later payoff of the big new mask, same task, right, campaign. I wonder if that's going to be kind of the payoff of that, and maybe they have Chris Evans walk out now and face him, now that we know he's going to be in the movie. Since then,
Chris Evans is going to be the new Dr. Doom.
Well, you're actually in the you're actually in the ballpark. You're kind of 2 years ago we kind of got Robert Downey Jr. and it was a major thing. But
that was the joke. I appreciate that you caught that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Sometimes it does go over your head. Just making sure. But anyway, no. But
he was the Human Torch,
right? Exactly. Yeah. But no, like what Eric said though is I think it's spot on. Are we getting more than just Doomsday?
I'll tell you, in 2021, I want to say that first year back after the pandemic, 21, 22, I forget what year it was, most of the presentation was just the timeline. It was just the Multiverse Saga timeline.
Yes.
And I remember people getting so emotional over PowerPoint slides, right? Yep. And then 2 years later, it had to be Robert Downey Jr. It's like, I don't know how you generate excitement this time around.
Right. That's why Brennan's joke actually was pretty good because Brennan's joke actually was appropriate because that's probably the only way you
exactly.
No, that's a good point. And here's what I asked. And here's one more question I have for you, Eric, because in 2019, that was kind of like the mecca of it all because Endgame had just wrapped up. Everyone's wondering what the next saga is going to be. You unveil this massive panel. Half of it at this point hasn't even been materialized, right? Some of it's been in developmental hell. Other aspects and projects have been scrapped entirely, and some of them materialize very soon, right? So, like, it's almost like they blew their wad so early with that, and that was the last one before the pandemic, to where now they kind of season it and sprinkle it where they feel necessary, and that's why I feel if there's going to be a panel that kind of turns the page, it's going to be after this project. I think Feige at this point wants to get people hyped for this the same way D23, as we talked about last week, really got people hyped for Infinity War in 2017 because that was about 5 months away at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, okay, so what are the chances that Mahershala Ali comes out on stage and says, yes, there will be a second Blade? Like, oh man. Is that what it would take? Would it take everybody saying, yes, we're doing Blade?
That's the only way, because I think Blade is what closed that, iconic, now infamous 2019 presentation. Right. So that was supposed to be the headliner of the main event. You bring in a guy who just won 2 Oscars at that point, and Blade was one. I mean, the fact we got a Deadpool not just reference, a full-blown cameo from the old Blade before, which was obviously a joke in itself, but not just a joke, an actual role for Wesley Snipes. The fact we got an actual role for him before Mahershala is absolutely insane. So that would probably be the only thing that could possibly pivot to something bigger than Doomsday coming out in December.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this, and honestly, the thing that seems to make the most sense to me is most likely the next adaptation of Deadpool. I think that would be the most surprising of everything,
movie, because
there is a crossover that can cohesively work with Secret Wars to Deadpool.
Oh, that's going to happen. And so, I wonder, wonder, they have to have a movie. Eric, you know this too. They got rid of the May 2026 slot and 2027, I'm pretty sure, at least for 2026. And you had to figure there was going to be either a third Doctor Doom, a fourth Deadpool, a second Shang-Chi, something. And I wonder is if they plan to kind of make it a 20-year from the start in May of 2008 with the first Downey Jr. Iron Man film. For 20 years in now, we kind of can turn the page and focus on the mutants, and it's the mutant saga in the wake of Secret Wars they focus on. X-Men is the first movie in May of 2028 that we get after this crossover. That's my favorite.
That feels right. And I feel like if we're going to get anything at this presentation that's far in the future,
that would be it.
That's what it's going to be. It's going to be, here's your first X-Man. Here's whoever playing Cyclops, right? Like that'll be it.
But I do think Steve's right.
The magic of when they had the Avengers out on stage.
Well, wouldn't you at this point, because you haven't done it the way that it should, and you have X-Men involved in Deadpool already, use a Deadpool crossover launch off to break a.
But that's
X-Men thing. And I think they're trying to figure out what X-Men they would go with. And I think that realistically, they might be considering 97 just because of the popularity behind the animated side of it. That would make a ton of sense because, look, a live action Bishop would be a big deal in the Marvel world, right? Having Jean Grey in her form later, right? Yeah. A big deal. So
I think that's what we're going to get, Steve. I think that's what
and then maybe we'll get the Taylor. All right, then we're on our way to getting Taylor Swift as Dazzler. It's happening again.
Dazzler?
It's happening again.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, there is a director for the X-Men movie. There's suddenly a bunch of rumors about Inde Everett from
Obsession. Yeah.
There's rumors about her. There's rumors about Jenna Ortega. There's rumors about a bunch of younger actors that are in indie hits as your next class of X-Men.
And that makes sense because you're going to
wonder if they're willing to hand this card out now,
right?
When they've still got these 2 giant Avengers movies that they have to deal with,
right? Right. And how do you? And even if it's moving forward, how do you keep Doctor Doom going in the Fantastic Four if Robert Downey Jr. is obviously there for a particular reason, right? It's not just by chance.
That's easy because you just bring in Galactus and then pull the whole universe together, right?
But exactly. But who's gonna actually play him? That's gonna be the question. The casting itself.
You'll find the proper Eastern European actor to play Doom
Latveria.
after Robert Downey Jr. Is way to
Latveria.
go. He's way to go.
Why not our own
Latveria.
Erik Amaya?
The pride of Latveria.
I mean,
I could only be voice of Doom, could not be face. Not pretty enough. No.
Doesn't he wear a mask though? I mean,
Yes, I could be voice of Doom. Could absolutely run lines, be on set, just not have to be in costume. Is
Right. The opposite of James Earl. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
it's got a little bit of that Baron Zemo feel to it.
A little bit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that would
Hydra.
have been like the coolest reveal of all, is if Zemo had actually been Victor Von Doom.
I'm gonna tell you where I thought Marvel. So this is just my opinion, and Brendan, you can maybe chime in on this a little bit. But I actually think they made a huge misstep not doing a Hydra movie that was based around Hydra to get to know some of the Hydra like villains deeper. And
well,
get
they
a show
did that a lot
you
with like they dropped the ball a lot with that the Hellboy movies and stuff too, because like the villains are completely developed characters. You know, Red Skull is this massive, like really interesting bad guy, and all you see is a dude get his face burned, and like there's Red Skull, but it's like no, but he was like trying to think, was it Gibbling? He was like the equivalent of like this Nazi, like horrible human.
You
right?
mean Goebbels?
Goebbels, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're
So,
talking
like-
about Cronin, right? That the guy with the mask and the blades and stuff.
But I'm just saying, like, there's a bunch of characters that we see just very briefly in Marvel movies that have these massive stories, and it'd be so interesting to explore.
Well,
I
remember
hate
he was the Red Skull's gatekeeper in. Right.
Yeah, in Endgame, he was gatekeeping the Soul Stone. Yeah.
Right.
But Brandon, what were you gonna say, Ray?
Well, just Ray Park's, his portrayal of Toad, like, he went in and did all of these crazy like moves and stuff, and like his big thing was like he turned to the side, he flicked his tongue out and got a fly, and it's like, no, dude, Toad is way more interesting than that little scene that you kept.
And it gave us like one of the worst lines in superhero cinema history with Halle Berry, and that didn't help either. Yeah.
Well,
I think, but it is true that like the villains are the biggest problem now. And that's across. That's across both DC and Marvel. It's across movies
forever.
TV.
Well, look at
like
Supergirl. Everybody's
Joker.
like finally the right casting for the right character for Jason Momoa, right? Like
Lobo, what were you gonna say?
Batman and Joker,
Exactly.
like they both went through character development together. They went in opposite directions or whatever, but they like you knew the Joker's story all the way back from Batman 66 and the comics way back in the day or whatever. So it's like as Batman became darker, so did the Joker and all those. But like
They're
know
foils.
the Joker's story, and that's why he's one of the greatest Batman villains, is because you know where he's coming from, you know why he's doing what he's doing and stuff like that, and that's what's missing. You've got great heroes, but what is the cohesive story behind the people?
Okay,
that's why Lex.
So
and that's
based
why
on that,
having a good version of Lex is so refreshing, because we've gotten a lot of good on-screen Jokers. Finally, getting a good Lex for the first time since Hackman, and probably a more comic accurate version of Lex than Hackman. As good as incredible as Hackman was doing his own kind of version of it, getting what we got from Holt was absolutely sensational. So I like what Brennan brings up, because you need the proper mirror, the proper parallel for those foil characters. And you get it a lot in Batman Joker as far as that duality. It's a little more sporadic for Supes, right?
Right. So so based on all of that and thinking, okay, at some point Marvel has to have a new timeline or a new set of release dates, right? What are the chances that there is a Magneto solo movie on that calendar?
They set that up though when they were doing what was it? It was First Class or one of them where they went back and they did his.
It was there was supposed to be a Magneto movie at the time, and I'll tell you,
they were setting it up.
Michael Fassbender hunting Nazis
all day long in Argentina and around the world.
Anything else, right? Just Michael Fassbender as Magneto hunting Nazis. That's awesome. We've lost him. He's not going to be Magneto again. But what are the chances that they get one of these younger guys to like Jacob Elordi or something?
Yeah, but so I'll give you an argument, which is I don't think Magneto is as relevant in the last 10 to 15 years as he was to the previous 10 to 15 years.
No,
so I don't think
there could be a
for the current movie space. I don't think that makes sense. You have other villains that have, superseded that and kind of started to leap
at the time
make their own.
But I don't think people are going to want to see a Mr. Sinister movie before a Magneto movie. You know what I mean?
At the
Like,
time,
No,
though,
they will if it's a Spider-Man movie. Right?
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm telling you, they would.
They're not.
But like
yeah,
Magneto's
that's
whole backstory comes out of the
that's irrelevant.
Holocaust, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. So here's
Right.
the thing: is that the people that lived through the Holocaust, the people that lived through World War I, they're not around anymore as much. Like the honor flights are getting smaller and smaller. So until it becomes a relatable villain or something, you're not going to get that same kind of investment from the fans or whatever, because the grandparents are dying, and so we don't have those firsthand stories to relate it to anymore.
And
I
that's
saw-
why,
I
and that's
saw
why
a
I
vi-
think that they forego the origin story and just try to make a continuity of him, rather, like Erik said, in the middle, kind of like what we saw from Fassbender. As a young man, he knows about his powers, he knows what he can do, but he hasn't found Charles yet. Something along those lines, I think, would be the only way to work, because that's what Marvel did with Spider-Man. They said when they got the rights, when Marvel Studios got the rights, Feige said, "Screw the radioactive spider, been there, done that." James Gunn did the same thing with David Cornsweet. Screw the little baby coming from across space, landing in Kansas, been there, done that. So maybe they just take a different approach.
If I was a betting man on this particular thing,
Mhm.
I will bet you, and Erik, when I say this, you'll probably pipe up a little bit. I believe that they'll introduce the first Ultimate Faction movie, that there will be something from the Ultimate line, which is to bring in your new Spider-Man, which is going to be Miles Morales, right? So I think you pull the Miles Morales storyline start, because this is the thing that they really screwed up, right? Like, this is my opinion. I saw a blog on this recently. They were talking about it. As good as she was, right? The portrayal of Taskmaster was actually a huge fumble, because they needed Taskmaster to be an antagonist that bounced across the timelines, right? To the different hero sets, for him to go create challenges that your new Avengers have to go deal with.
Well,
to
a
go
lot of this is
cause
also
the problems for Deadpool, to then tie into the Spider-Man universe too, right? So I think Ultimate will be the way to go. And Ultimate makes a lot of sense because they've got areas to win there. And I think that the thing that probably holds that back is if Marvel Studios can truly wrestle Venom away finally from Sony, right? Because if they can, then that's all they do is Venom, Spider-Man infused movies.
I think
that would make sense.
I think the Spider-Verse is leading up to some type of crossover regarding that, separate from all the multiverse with the MCU. But the one thing that I think is interesting in particular is because we have to keep in mind, not saying we've forgotten it, but it's just important to note, everything they're doing is essentially an audible anyway, because everything that went down with Jonathan Majors. So, like, everything they plan to do is kind of damage control and kind of just a recalibration and a contingency plan of what was supposed to happen. But they lucked out because the 2015 time runs out, and Secret Wars comic that Jonathan Hickman did features Doom. It was an easy pivot. So what I wonder is that I think it's actually a very easy wrap-up of everything that's happened so far. The question is, how hard of a reset is it? Is it a soft reboot, or are they full-blown saying, all right, everything from Iron Man 08 to this movie is its own thing, and now this is the line in the sand moment where you could forget all that and literally start fresh as if you've never watched any of these before?
Well, and that's what Paul Vato needs, is a complete fresh
reset.
start with
A
something
hard
brand
reset.
new, so he can just start and get in and say he got in day one, right? Rather than getting in, day 364, right? So, Paul, I made that you weren't on, and I did allude to this, but your interview asking skills are definitely needing to they definitely need to continue. I'm a huge proponent of it, and I'm going to go on the record and say that I think Paul has put his name in the hat to retain my seat. So, which is totally fine.
It smells like a lot of farts, but it is a chair. Yeah.
It does. Well, the thing is, if it didn't smell like farts, he wouldn't want to be in it. So
exactly. I also think that was kind of my audition.
And that's how we wrap the show.
Live shows, whether it's in Vegas or LA or San Diego, I'm ready for the stage. I know that you've tried with other members of this cast, and it's always hit and miss. But I think that's my audition to now start getting some invites to any of the shows that you might be putting on.
Well, you've had invites. That's the craziest thing is that, Brendan Allen's in charge of sending your invite out. He has sworn up and down. He sends it out to you every single time.
Oh, interesting. I'll take this up with Brandon, behind the scenes. It's not for something to be discussed here.
You still have that email address at AOL.com, right?
I sure do.
Yeah, that's
You
crazy.
need your hosting skills, Paul. Come on, man.
I didn't know they still sent discs until Paul sent me a picture of his mail call the other day, and he had the AOL disc in his mail. I thought that was great. That was
100%.
well done. Paul, speaking of AOL and stuff that we really don't care about, what's some of the things that you have going on that you've been involved with? Like, what's going on?
Us, Paul.
Oh my goodness!
Talk to
thank you,
us.
thank you guys for giving me, of course, the time to talk about all of my projects. Which you probably heard me trying to sneak them in there during our amazing interview with Bad Grammar. Guys, if you could mute yourself,
Yeah,
so I can
what?
talk to people about Kama
I
Sushi.
told you 5 times. It's the back.
And the Paul Vato Presents podcast. That's my
Don't
podcast,
put it
personal
there.
podcast. There's
No, I just
also,
cleaned that. They were squirming last night. Oh God!
if you guys
Hold
could
on.
mute yourselves, if you could mute yourself, so I can talk about Parse Rum, which is a rum that I'm involved with, or Vato Cigars.
You've got mail.
So Sandman Sleep. It's a new company that I've been working with.
Anyway,
hopefully we'll have a brand new $7,000 Oh God!
Same
I'm dying.
thing, different job.
I think I just swallowed a bug. Anyways, check out the Kama Sushi and go to paulvato.com and you can just connect with me across all social
he's not still
media.
going,
there.
is he?
Guys, you can mute yourself so I can talk at my 15 seconds of promotion. I might have gone up over a little bit right now, but I think our fans deserve it. They want to hear about it. I'm very excited to connect with Paul Vato. Maybe even pick up some Vato. Mute yourself. I really think that my episode, my segment this week was probably the best one so far to date in the whole series of Who the F is Frank, C3 POD, and now the Collector's Desk. So if you want to tune into my podcast, Paul Vato,